Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Added Time. It's been a week. It's been a break. We took a break, but we're back. It's a bit late podcast, but...
More than a week, 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's life gets hectic. But we're back. We're back. It's a Friday late afternoon, early evening where you're listening to this podcast. We are filming it on a Friday morning, so quick turnaround time. But this is what I do to us when I'm too lazy to film on the weekend.
Nate the Great is looking fresh there with his new haircut. He
Thank
just
you.
came from the barber.
Thank you. It's my birthday next week, Tuesday. So we're going out this weekend. So I'm looking forward to it, to get fresh, South Africa's also playing in the semi-finals. So it's going to be a big weekend.
When's the semi-final?
Tomorrow night.
New Zealand?
Yeah, no, England versus South Africa is tomorrow night.
England, yes.
Yeah.
Are we versus New Zealand in the final again?
Yeah, I think so. It's New Zealand versus, is it Argentina? So...
We talking about rugby, just by the way.
Yeah, well, that took a turn. Should we get back to football?
This is football related, but not FPL. I actually went to go watch the local team here in Calgary last weekend.
Oh, yeah?
They called
Calgarians. I don't know.
No. Cavalry. There we go.
Cavalry.
Keep confusing.
Okay.
Cavalry. Okay, cavalry. I keep saying Calvary, but there's no dying on the cross here. So it's cavalry, right? Here comes the cavalry.
Right.
They lost 2-1, but it wasn't one of the few times that I've actually gone to a game. It's the first time I went to the Canadian one. It was the vibe was quite electric.
You should get back in. You should get into football. You play centre back. Mike's a beast of a defender. You guys should have seen him in his day.
In my day, I get cramps because I don't eat enough bananas. Now, so FPL Added Time watchers, listeners, and people who are just trying to survive FPL. If your arrows are red and they're all facing down, you need to do something. Well, some people have wildcarded earlier. Some people are still wildcarding now. Some people are saving it for a rainy day. Nate, how did your wildcard go?
Not the greatest, but I'll take it. I got 61 points with the wildcard draft that I had. I had some last-minute cheeky picks that I ran by that you were like, shit, that's actually a good pick. My Pedro Neto shout was not too bad. He got an assist. I stuck with Diaby over Bowen. It wasn't the worst decision. Both of them blanked. I didn't go with my Solanke pick because my gut told me maybe not, and turns out he didn't do anything.
Not your own new gut, also your friend.
Also the entire friend, or the two friends that are in our little private group. Don't do it. It's too soon. And I didn't, and I listened, and it paid off. So, but all in all, I think the team that I drafted set me up for the next week or two. So I'm pretty happy with what I got. I won't be making transfers this week.
So your two differential picks in terms of, I don't count Watkins as a differential pick because I would have had him if I could. I just can't. But Neto and Anderson were such good picks. Just
Anderson,
everybody listening out there. Neto is from Wolves. Neto hurt us last season.
You gave us
but Neto is one of the most consistent players in FPL this season. In the last several game weeks, 7, 10, 5, 9, 4, 5. He's only sitting at a price of 5.8. He's gone up a bit, but he's still very, very decent. And it's risky, but you got to risk it to get the biscuit. So I was proud of you for that decision. But the one that really pisses me off, but I really was like, nah, Nate had me here. I couldn't understand why you were putting Anderson in your team. And you did it kind of like a little earlier than the hype. And all of a sudden, after you did it, I don't know if you had an impact on the hype. The whole world, he's got this Anderson from Crystal Palace in it. The whole world. Everybody's saying, this guy, his price his price shot up. I can't even afford him, even if I wanted him now.
Yeah, well, for Man United, he was 4.7. He's now 4.9. So 2 weeks, he's now shot up.
He started the season at 4.5. Okay,
he's almost a 5 million defender. No, I brought him in
at 4.6.
Yeah, the Manchester United after that weekend. Yeah, I brought him in.
It's 4.6, 4.7. He's now 4.9. 4.9.
He's gone up by nearly 0.5 now. He'll be a 5 million defender.
He will probably go up because Crystal Palace defensively are not a bad team. But I just wanted to say well done on those two picks.
Thank you, sir.
Anderson getting in there, not just because he got the 6 points, because I personally don't rate Crystal Palace getting
No,
lots of points,
I agree.
but the fact that you got a player that's got a potential clean sheet bonus, plus you beat a very big price rise, taking people like me out of the market for that player. That's pretty good. So well done on Anderson.
Thank you.
That
Thank you.
was an inspired move.
I should play the lotto. Maybe I've been lucky. No. Yeah, no, thanks. It was a. I was just looking at what could fill that gap, and I saw Anderson at a low price, and I thought to myself, look, he's been good for Crystal Palace. On the odd chance that they do get points, he will probably do it. And also, he was a good price at the time.
But they are also going into a run of green.
They are.
So
After their
technically,
Newcastle game this weekend, I believe they've got green for a
but the
few weeks.
problem is for me, this FPL season has been
You
less
don't know
about
who-
FDR and more about form.
Yeah.
Form greater than FDR. That green list there
Means
we
nothing.
all were burnt by Chelsea.
Yo. And we're in our Chelsea shirts today. Ish. Aye. No, but on that Chelsea note, just a quick one. Something's happened in the camp. And there's some form brewing. And what we've just said now, form is key. I'm not saying we're going to win against Arsenal. I'll be happy with the draw. I wouldn't be surprised if we lost because Arsenal's top of the league. They beat Pep Guardiola twice. So fair play. But I'm excited for the weekend because Chelsea are looking good.
Put it this way, okay? If you look at Chelsea's fixtures, okay, we have had probably two standout games this season. The first one was
Carabao Cup.
against Luton. Well, no, not just in the league. The first one was versus Luton, but we should beat Luton because they are a weaker team. They are from the championship. Agreed. They're probably one of the weakest teams in the league, right? Everybody's kind of got a chance to really score 4 or 5 goals past them.
Yeah.
Sorry, Luton fans. So, but our other best game came against Liverpool, where we drew 1-1, where we should have won on the opening. I also agree.
We did play well there. We did play well in that game.
So if you take those two in, we either are beating the teams that are the weakest, like right at the bottom, or we seem to have a better game against a bigger team than the mid-table underdogs like Aston Villa, West Ham. So yes, Chelsea are going into FDR red. The fire games, the toughest games, are worst run. But does that mean
we perform better
now? We're gonna put it together because we're playing under that pressure, and everything's coming together. We have a little bit of form. Our players are starting to click. Poch has started to settle on, players like Palmer starting. Is he a FPL asset? He's kind of got a flag on him. So
we got to talk about Cucurella for a second. Who knew swapping the side of the field you play, you just become a god. Like, he's actually insane defensively. He's been playing really well. I've been very happy with what Poch is doing.
Well, I know we went to start with Liverpool, but let's segue straight into Chelsea Arsenal then. Let's start there because talking about.
If it wasn't obvious that we were ever going to talk about Chelsea on this podcast.
Okay, so you're talking about Cucurella. So there's a debate online. Who starts, Gusto or Cucurella against Arsenal?
That is a very good question. And has Gusto done enough to earn his spot in the first 11? I think so. It's tough for Pochettino because also Cucurella has been putting in work to prove to him that he's still valuable to the club. And he has. He's put it in. Although I think depends on what Poch wants to do with Arsenal. If he wants to have more of an attacking game, I think he'll put Gusto on. But Cucurella sitting back allow Colwell to do some magic on that left wing side, the left back side. So I think if we go for a more defensive approach, we start with Cucurella. I think if we're going to go more attacking, we go Gusto.
We are playing one of the top teams in the league right now. We are playing a team that is undefeated.
It's safe to say we're going for a draw. We're playing for a draw.
What I'm saying is I agree with your first assessment there that Poch is going to want to be defensive over attacking, which means that the obvious pick is the player who's been playing for the last couple of weeks.
And who's been on form defensively.
Who's more defensive form. To allow if Colwell, you have your left back being a centre back and you have your right back being a left back, meaning they both play with less urgency to go forward because they will focus on the defensive side of the
Exactly. And if they do, I've noticed, so the back four, when Colwell pushes up, Cucurella drops and it becomes a back three. And then when Colwell tracks back, because he's got quite a high work rate, he comes back and then Cucurella jumps back to the wing and then it's a back four. So I think Cucurella will be that pivot. And I think Poch likes that safety net because, not to Guster's fault, he just is more attacking than him. And I think he would even start Cucurella over Chilwell as well. Because Chilwell is also, even though Chilwell's on the left, but you know what I mean, Chilwell's more attacking minded.
Yeah, but there's also politics you got to keep in mind. Because you got to think about, like,
Chelsea
Cucurella was sold at the end, before the transfer window.
Well, so was Gallagher.
He never had a game. Ooh. Okay, but can we just clear this up for FPL reasons, FPL listeners out there? Chelsea, I would not put money on this run, even though we're doing well. I'm not bringing in a Chelsea defender. I'm not bringing in Cucurella. Cole will maybe, because he's 4.6 at a price point. He's a good enabler, and he might get good points. But I'm not bringing Cucurella into my team.
No,
it's too risky.
That's more of a conversation of us just enjoying his play at the moment. I don't think he's worth putting in your FPL team yet.
But Colwell as a defender for FPL, you almost brought Colwell in.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind.
You wouldn't have got any points.
Well, I did Anderson over Colwell. But that was my choice.
Well played again. But I think the only Chelsea defender that I would say is worth putting in is Colwell.
What's Sanchez at?
What's Sanchez is sitting at 4.6. So he's also a decent asset, but again, the fixtures are bad. Remember when I said the fixtures aren't important? I meant the green arrows aren't important. But the red arrows and the grey ones still matter because it's saying it's going to be tough, and I'm not a gambler. So
no, I can agree with that statement.
Okay, let's pivot to. I know we're wearing our Chelsea shirts, but let's talk about Arsenal then. So first thing on Arsenal, is Saka playing?
The golden boy. Yeah.
Is he playing?
Well, he didn't go to England. Hey, no, he didn't. He stayed. So, bit of insight to my thoughts going forward. I still want to bring Saka back into my team, but I think for next week, not this week, because I don't think he'll start. I think he's fighting his way back to get to appear at Chelsea, but I also think he could use the break. And we saw Man City lose to Arsenal without Saka. I think Martinelli is enough for them. So, but I don't think Arteta risks Saka.
Yeah, but the thing is, this is where we're short. We don't know because before the Man City game, he was starting Saka when Saka was injured for two games in a row. Okay, and then he got injured again and again and again until got to the Man City game, and Saka was like he missing both legs, an arm and a leg and a nut, even maybe. I don't know what he was missing. But Arteta finally let this boy rest, right? He missed his England duty, and he says, Arteta has said that he will assess Saka, Saliba, and Trossard's fitness for Chelsea. They're being assessed. Now, what that tells me is two things. Arteta's recent history suggests he may push Saka to play.
Yeah.
But also it tells me that it's a gamble and we don't know. So if you haven't got Saka in your team after wildcarding like me,
I'm not bringing
him back in.
Yeah.
Not until his fitness is stabilized. But at the same time, we have to admit, if you look at Arsenal's fixtures going forward, they're fixed after this fixture. They got some green coming. And even though it's green, remember, it's not just about the fact that it's green. You're green plus form. You got Sheffield United who can leak 6 goals easy. You got Burnley, and you got Wolves, and you got Luton. Those are 4 out of the next 6 games.
They bleed goals, yeah.
If you haven't got Saka, you're going to have an Arsenal asset after this Chelsea game. And
that's exactly why I said game week 10, we need to look at Arsenal assets. We'll probably have this conversation again next week and think about who we're bringing in. I think it's important.
Yeah, we'll save that for next week. It's just that it's going to be a tough game this week, and it could go easy either way.
I'm very excited for the game. I'm not going to be too cut up if we lose. I'm going to be a bit depressed if we lose like 3-0. I don't think we will, but I think we can draw. If we win, bro, I don't know. I'm going to order more Chelsea shirts. I don't know what else to do. I'll be so happy. But like,
It's going
I'll be
it's
excited.
going to be a good game either way, and we hope Chelsea can take some points off Arsenal so we can stabilize. But at the end of the day, Arsenal are doing their thing at the top, and
Yeah, and you got to
we
give it to
respect
Arsenal.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We Chelsea supporters, but we also not like
We're not naive.
Chelsea
Yeah.
supporters. There's only one team I don't rate, like Lacquer, that if they do
Yeah.
badly, that makes my day.
Yeah.
We won't mention any names.
No.
Man United. Okay, so we've got for Arsenal, right, out of the way with Chelsea. So do you want to look at Liverpool next?
Yeah, I was gonna say let's hit to the pool, the other big team.
Merseyside derby.
Oh,
Okay,
big
which
things, bro.
historically, I mean, the fact that we even still have a Merseyside derby is big because Everton should have been relegated last season.
it should
Let's
be
be honest.
the misery side derby.
Yeah, and Liverpool, they've been a little bit up and down. They've had some very contentious decisions against them from VAR. It's been interesting, but the biggest talking
pool,
the biggest talking point for Liverpool this week, and I'm assuming I might jump on this train before he goes up. I don't know if you are, but it's Robertson is out injured for a couple of weeks minimum, possibly a couple of months. We still to be assessed. If Robertson is out, the normal replacement of Robertson is a man by the name of Tsimikas. I think he's Greek.
Is Tsimikas already? Isn't that the 25th of December? Oh, that's Christmas. Sorry. Tsimikas is coming.
Yeah.
That took you so long. That took you so long. Whoever got it on the podcast when I said it, please let me know, because Mike took ages to realize what I just said.
It's a Christmas. Hey, because I'm out of South Africa, man. I didn't say it with a South African accent. I said it with my new voice. So like, Samic. I was thinking of Greek.
Samikas. Anyway, it's not a bad thought to look to bring him in. He's going to be, I would argue, what Tsimikas is to Robertson was what Gusto was to James.
Exactly, and it kind of, he did have some, aside from the red card, Gusto probably would have got decent amount of points.
Yeah, I think so.
Because he would have beaten the team after that, we still would have got some points. It was just that red card that stuffed up, which is also a VAR contentious decision if you listen to the audio behind that red card decision.
What a mess up that was. They didn't even know what they were talking about half the time. They didn't know the on-field decision. They thought it was onside.
At this point, I'm pretty sure the two of us could do a better job in the VAR room. Yeah. That's saying a lot with no training.
I think we can. I think any competent human being with two eyes and the ears can do a better. Shame, let me not bash him too much. I'm sure
it's a tough job, but it should. I'm sure they are better paid than either of us, so they should be doing a better job.
Well, we're currently not getting paid for this, so.
Now, so Robbo is most people don't have Robbo. His price is high. Then was about 6 bit and a bit, but he hasn't had a high price. But the thing is, Tsimikas is 4.4. You're not going to find a starting defender for a team that has one of the best fixture runs, starting with Everton, Nottingham Forest, and Luton. No breaks in between. Okay, Brentford, which is back to being an easy fixture because they suck right now. You got Manchester City squeezed in the middle. Manchester City are it's not a game that's not going to give you points anymore.
They're struggling without De Bruyne. Like, HAALAND does not know how to play football without Kevin De Bruyne.
And then you got, after that Man City game, you Fulham, Sheffield, Crystal Palace. Effectively, their next 8 to 9 fixtures, you have a team who has the potential to score heavy. And Tsimikas is 4.4, and if he is going to be starting in a team that has very easy fixtures, is in form, and is going to be very attacking, not only is he potential attacking return, but he's going to have clean sheet bonuses, and he's only going to be 4.4, so he's going to save you money.
It's definitely one to look. I agree with you 100%.
So I'm assuming both of us are bringing him in this weekend. I'm just assuming you're bringing him in.
Well, I'm not going to bring him in this weekend because I want to save a transfer. You know me, I'm a big advocate for that, especially after a wild card. I definitely want to have a 2 in the bank for the next week, just in case I need to make corrections.
You got money in the bank in case he goes up?
I have 0.1 in the bank.
Okay, so you can
I can't afford
survive
him.
if he goes up as long as
Yeah.
one of your players don't go down.
But you know
Okay.
me, I'll probably make the transfer after that day, so I don't risk losing the price rise because you
This
can
is
see
true.
when a player will perform. And like
Because
you've just said, the fixture run.
so I'm almost 100% sure Tsimikas' price will not be 4.4 the next time we do this podcast.
100%.
His price will increase because after the Merseyside game, with everybody bringing him in,
Yeah.
he will go up. And I wouldn't be surprised if by the start of the next game week he's gone up by 0.2 if he does like a banger tomorrow.
Yeah. The thing is with Diaz and is Jota going to start? With Diaz or Nunez
Forget about it. The
and
king is the
Salah
king.
up front. Yeah.
The king is the king. The
Simi
king is the
Castle.
king.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The game's the game.
Everybody
King's
has
the king.
Salah in their team, and he's now a legitimate captain option. I'm not sure about captaining him against Everton because that game, because of how highly emotionally charged it is, it can be
Yellow
difficult.
cards.
However,
Yeah.
Salah at home against Everton, who are potentially weak-ish right now, we're going to have to look at captain choices later, but he's definitely a potential captain choice. Haaland is no more set and forget captain. You got to think about your captain, and if you make the wrong decision and you captain Son instead of Salah, and Salah gets the haul,
you're going to be falling.
You're going to fall. So you got to get your captain choice right. It's going to be a little bit
tough
of luck, but
because I mean, this week we've got we'll chat about it, but just to let it sit in your mind, you got Salah at home against Everton, you got Son at home against Fulham, and you got Haaland at home against Brighton. So it's not easy. I think anyone can score points this weekend. So
okay, let's pivot over there to Spurs. Spurs versus who are Spurs versus Fulham.
Yeah, Fulham.
Fulham is a team that can leak big goals. Okay, let's be honest. Even Chelsea could beat them. So if even Chelsea could score against them, and Chelsea can't score goals, what is Spurs going to do to them?
Should demolish, theoretically speaking, on paper, they should.
But here's the problem. Son limped off his Korea game. Okay, now just listen to this. Son was injured going into the game, but he traveled all the way to Korea and he begged his manager to let him play for the South Korean fans because he didn't want to travel all the way and not play in front of his fans. So he begged to play.
Got injured.
He then played 60 minutes and then came off hobbling off. He went into the match with an injury and then he went off the match with the injury. It's
probably aggravated, yeah.
What I've been picking up is it's kind of like a groin injury, which is not the worst in the world, but at the same time it is worrying. And you kind of have a feeling that at Korea he might go in and say, I need to play, I have to play. But at Spurs, he's got a lot more cover, and the Spurs medical team would be more protective of him and saying, listen, sit out this game. We have Richarlison. Okay? Yes, Richarlison is not as good as you in the number 9, but we'd rather you rest for a week and protect yourself and recover so that you can be ready for the next step. And so, and Spurs, correct me if I'm wrong, Spurs is in the Champions League?
Yeah. Why do we not know this? We've been FPL podcast hosts for the last 4 weeks.
That's because Spurs have not been in the Champions League for a very long time.
That's
why.
You're not wrong.
So it depends on what their midweek fixture over this Christmas period is going to be like. So if you think about that and you factor that in, any other assets you watching from Spurs?
Udogie / Pedro Porro and Madison. Standard ones. I nearly went Pedro Porro over Udogie last week. Would have been a very sneaky differential, but I think the money justification, I'd rather settle with Udogie, which I have, so he's definitely one to watch, as well as Madison. As we know, Madison's the man for Spurs at the moment. The pundits have been saying it, the analysis is saying it. So he's definitely one you got to keep your eye on. But like you say, man, if Son doesn't start, does that mean they lose? No. Does it mean that the general people score? Maybe not. So, like, if Son's not there to score, does Madison score? I don't think Madison scores. I think Madison assists. But can Richarlison finish? Does your doggy score? So it's stuff we have to think about. But all in all, we have to see how it
No,
lines up.
I just want to say something to you. Yeah, I know I said where Spurs play Champions League, but the truth is that just looking at the teams that are playing in Europe, I'm like, what's the stuff? Okay, firstly, it's Man City, Arsenal, Man United, and Newcastle in the Champions League, which is what messed my brain up a bit. It's been a long 2 weeks.
Spurs aren't even
Okay.
in the Champions League.
Okay, hold on. It's Liverpool, West Ham, and Brighton in Europa League. Okay. So Liverpool are roped in midweek, which means that it's Aston Villa's in the Conference League. So
Where does that leave Son? Does that leave him being rested this week and starting next week? Does that mean he starts because there's no midweek so he can recover?
yeah, the problem is we all have him in our team, and he would be the best captaincy option, but because of his injury, what's going to happen is if he starts, he scores 3 goals, but is it safe to captain him? And if he doesn't start, if we unsure, does that mean we captain? Does that mean we actually going to end up captaining Madison? Is Madison the captain pick for this week?
Oof, I don't know if he's a captain pick. Could be, but I don't know. I've a weird thing about captaining central people. I'd rather captain someone on the wing or in the box. Just me. I don't know.
He does do a little bit of workhorse sort of things. Bloody hell! How did Tottenham finish 8th last season? Ish. Anyways, yeah, they. You know what?
Are we still shocked that they're not in?
I'm still shocked. Where's Tottenham? Where's Tottenham? Spurs.
That's probably
Where
why
are
Postecoglou came in. So,
but here's the thing: if you're telling me Spurs are on that run, they're top of the table and they have no midweek fixtures. We're looking at it coming out of Christmas with Spurs and Liverpool, like being quite right up there with Arsenal and Man City.
yeah.
It's going to be a very interesting sort of Christmas period, I think.
Yeah. No.
But so just to focus, what are we doing with Son? Captain or not to captain?
I don't think so. I don't think we captain Son.
Does he stay in our team or do we take him out?
I think
9.4.
He stays in your team.
He stays in your team, but his injury means we don't captain him. So far, we're saying Salah is the captain. So far.
For my team, I've got him selected early this week. He was my captain. It might change, but he was my original.
Let's pivot to the other team that would have the captain pick, and that would be Man City. Man City, poor form right now.
But
Not
Brighton as well. They lost their form completely. It came and went as soon as they found it.
Well, we were always talking about Brighton falling off that cliff, and they didn't only fall off the cliff, they fell off the cliff onto a ledge, and then they fell off another cliff. They kept falling.
But bro, as Chelsea fans, should we not want to captain Haaland to see him destroy Brighton?
See, I'm in two minds about captaining Haaland with Brighton, because you got two problems. The first thing is, yes, Haaland is always going to be a goal threat,
100%.
and he is a worthy captain. However, the question becomes, does Pep rest Haaland? Does he rest him?
For Alvarez.
Because at some point you have to go, it's not working, right? Does Haaland need to be held back slightly to be able to say, you're not scoring goals, let's try something else? Or does Pep go, you're not scoring goals, I need you on the field to score the goals? Or there's also this drama happening in the background about the Ballon d'Or, isn't there?
Yeah. Messi and Haaland.
Has it been announced that Messi's won?
I don't know. I haven't followed it too much because I just assumed they were going to give it to Messi.
Yeah, so the men's Ballon d'Or hasn't been awarded yet, but effectively there are two people that the internet is saying should win. It's Haaland or Messi. And we're saying the treble-winning goal-scoring machine versus Messi, the generational talent that he is, who won the World Cup. Okay, so there's debates about that, and so it does. Pep obviously would. Pep has played with both of those players. They're big parts of him and his dogma as a manager. Do we go with Haaland? And I think Pep at the moment would want his striker to win because that will give him confidence. So maybe that's leaning towards Haaland being back in the game. Either way, he's definitely a potential captain pick, and you're not going to be crucified for picking him. But
No.
it's tough between the three of them. Son's got the injuries. Salah's got a tense fixture, and Haaland is not in form. But I would say, from my perspective, and I think you're on the same page with me, Salah is the most likely captain choice for this week.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I also agree with you. I think he's also the safer one this week as well. Just because of what we've discussed about Haaland, and just because about Haaland not really being able to finish without Kevin De Bruyne. So, yeah.
So just so everybody knows, that was the 90 minutes just passed now, which means we in FPL at a time. We have 7 minutes at a time. So we gotta finish this game and score a goal. We'll tighten up our defense.
Need to close this game out. Yeah. Park the bus.
Any other interesting matches? I'll go with Man United versus Sheffield, because Sheffield, it's away from home for Man United, and Man United, the way they won that last game, scoring with McTominay scoring 2 late goals as a sub, was fire. I've always liked McTominay. I think he's like a midfield general of note. He just looks like a no-nonsense person. Like he would just murder someone. And he came in with his goals after not playing for months. But Man United, they're kind of like an up-and-down team. If you still, for some reason, have Rashford and Bruno in your team, I commend you for your patience and your loyalty,
your dedication.
And if it does work out, well played on you, but it's a tough one to call, right? Man United, yes, well done for winning that match at the death with 2 goals at the end, but they shouldn't be
putting themselves there. They shouldn't be putting themselves there.
They should have controlled the game from the beginning and won the game, not kept it late. And they were playing a Brentford team that has been in poor form.
Yeah.
So I think that it's risky to have Man United assets, and with players like Watkins, Salah, Son, Maddison, and your Arsenal midfielders all on form, I don't think you can afford the risk on the Man United players, unless you're very low down in your home leagues and you need to pump it up. Any words on Man United before we move on?
No, nothing really. I don't think you should bother with any of the assets right now at all. I think you need to give them some time to find form again. Also, with all the drama going around at Manchester United as well, I think the vibe's just a bit off. So I think you just stay away.
My problem is international break always flips things. Okay,
not wrong.
Man United, they had a bad vibe, but then they ended it before the international break with this Fergie time victory. Then on top of that, you have Chelsea, who've had a bad form, and all of a sudden they're picking up form, and now they break.
Yeah,
it's like a flip. So I'm scared Chelsea are going to go through a flip of they have to pick it up again, and Man United are going to be like out of that funk. They got away from the training ground for a while. They come back together and they regroup. So I would say my ultimate assessment is let's keep our eye on Man United moving forward. And even this week, if you do have one of them in your team, don't take them out. If you have one of them, hold Rashford or Bruno for this week, because there's still always the potential for a higher swing or reward there against Sheffield United. But realistically, until we see United get some sort of consistency, because even 2 goals from McTominay is not really you're not bringing in McTominay.
No,
that's not really an indication for FPL reasons to bring him in your team.
No, that's the thing.
Any other games you want to talk about? Tell me about Newcastle versus Crystal Palace. What's your thoughts is going to happen in this game?
I think Addison's going to score and keep a clean sheet.
This guy.
No, look. Well,
I think Trippier is going to score and keep a clean sheet.
Nah, Dan Burn. Give it to Dan Burn. You know what? Trippier's probably going to hold points this week as well. So, I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. But again, nothing fancy for that. You'd expect Newcastle to win. But like you say, the international break resets form. So, it could be that 0-0 game or like a 1-0 game. I don't think that Newcastle's going to demolish Crystal Palace. I think Crystal Palace will just surprise us.
So Newcastle have a good fixture form for the December Christmas period, November December. They have just one red fixture flagged in there, which is Arsenal in the next 3 game weeks. They also have Champions League that they're contending with, which is crazy to think. We in the gold dream, yeah. You know that movie. Watch that
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
Santiago Muniz, Newcastle in the Champions League, and they're doing their thing with not Santiago Muniz, it's Almiron Muniz.
Muniz,
So, but I know you don't have Trippier because he's too expensive. Are you hiding behind a couch every time Newcastle play?
Me.
Are you happy with their decision not to have Trippier?
Uh,
Because you can either be like confident, or you can be like, I wish I had Trippier, and every time he plays,
I think I got over it when I made other smart plays with my defensive line, and like you say, now the Anderson pick, I'm more happy I have Anderson than Trippier because I've got better cover somewhere else, and I got Dan Burn, so I do have a Newcastle. If they keep a clean sheet, I get points. If they keep a clean sheet and Trippier assists, great, but then maybe Neto scores. So I'm quite satisfied without having Trippier.
Wolves are playing Bournemouth, a game that could go anyway. Wolves are in better form than they have been over the whole of last season, but at the same time, I still feel like they have this problem scoring goals, like scoring enough goals, taking their chances. They're like Chelsea, but without a £1 billion spend.
Does Watkins score this weekend against West Ham?
You're asking questions, eh? I'm gonna make a hot take over here. That's gonna be the fire game of the weekend.
I can see it.
Aston Villa and West Ham, both on fire, both on form, both are playing better than we expected them to play. Both of them are just have a point to prove.
Yeah.
I can see that game being the most entertaining game because I don't feel either of those teams will feel play with like they have something to lose. They'll play like they have something to win.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be that. And it's the only game on Sunday, and I rate that's going to be the fire game of the weekend.
Yeah,
I see some goals. I see some action. I see just a lot of pressing, attacking. I don't see a defensive 0-0 draw there. I could be horribly wrong.
The last thing I'll say about Captain Pick is that while we wrap up here, because we're in 1.5 minutes of added time, or 1
minute of added time.
I don't know about you, but I don't like my captain playing first. You know what I mean? Do you also feel a bit weird? I feel like there's so much more relief.
There's a curse.
I feel like there's so much relief when your captain plays at the end of the game week. You're like, oh, I still got my captain to play, and then he rewards for you. I don't know.
This is a quote from the Mummy. This is cursed. This is cursed. There's a lot of curses going on, and one of the curses is the first game on a Saturday. Normally, the result is turned on its head.
Yeah.
So be wary of captaining Salah, and if you're not captaining an Arsenal player, you captaining Son, who's an injury risk, or you captaining Haaland, who's out of form. Let's make a poll and we'll see. We'll decide on Twitter.
I think it'll be split down the middle, just like this podcast.
Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us for another week of FPL madness. I know it's late in the game, but we'll be back early next week so we discuss how to plan for the next game week. Thank you, Nate.
See ya. Take care.